weeks. The parade, then last week. Yeah. We're going to talk about something we've talked about before. I think we've actually have already talked on it 2 times. Can anybody think of what story we might be talking about? It's one about suffering. Job. Cha-ching. Job. Job. Bear. Good job. Shh. Sit down. Pay attention, and maybe you can answer questions. Go. Only a couple pieces of toilet paper. We're going to start with God's ways are not our ways. And do you know why this is the best place to start a lesson? Anybody? Why is that the best place to start Job's lesson? God's ways are not our ways. Because it'll help us realize, going through Job, that there was a lesson in there. And it wasn't the way we think it should go, or that Job probably even thought it should go. But God's ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. So, one of the first truths... Braxton, go get me a water, please. The bathroom. One of the first truths of Scripture is Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. Does anybody have a Bible with them on their phone or an actual Bible? Ho ho, whoop whoop. Oh, you're getting a prize. You have an actual Bible. Thanks, dude. Almost took your dad out. Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. Braxton, go turn the first slider up on the back wall. The first one you come to. What? Just give it a minute. You have it? Do you want to come read it? Hey, I don't know him. You don't have to respect him if you don't want to, but he's reading from the Word. You better respect that. You should respect him too. Go sit now. All right, go ahead. Isaiah 55, 8 and 9.
Okay, 8 and 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, and so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
All right. That one might even light up. I don't know. So, God doesn't think like we do. His ways are so much higher than ours, as high as heaven is from the earth. Even the smartest person in the world couldn't begin to understand everything about God. A lot of times his ways are going to seem confusing and mysterious, but we can be sure that what he has told us is everything we need to know about him. And where does he tell us all that stuff at? In the Bible. He's told us everything we need to know, but his thoughts are still so much higher than ours, and we are not capable of completely understanding his ways. With that in place, this will help us better grasp or take hold of the story of Job, or the book of Job, if you want to read the whole thing. So, God has authority over Satan. And if you don't believe that, listen to this story, okay? In everything, God has authority over Satan. The opening chapters in the book of Job, 1 and 2, are especially difficult. God singles out Job as a blameless and upright man, pretty much setting him up to be tormented by Satan, the accuser. The major focus of God's interaction with Satan, however, should be on Satan's, my goodness, I cannot talk. Yeah, I said Satan's, I just couldn't say the next word. And I still can't say it. I even looked it up, how to say it. His submission to God is basically what it was, but it was a better word. It was like a reverence of who God was. Satan knows who God is. And even in everything he does, he still almost has like a reverence of God. He knows he has to ask permission to do things. And kids, youth, and even adults, we tend to picture God and Satan as well-matched opponents, like the same size opponents. It would be like twins. Come up here. No, you're not. Sometimes we picture this as God and this as Satan. Come up here. Come here. Come here. Stand right there. God on one side, Satan on the other. We know you're not Satan. They're the exact same size, right? I mean, one might be just a smidget shorter. But you're the same size, same build. They even look identical. Uncle can hardly tell them apart half the time. Let's see. Jordan. Oh, that was a guess. I'm not even kidding. So, sometimes we picture this as what it looks like, the size. But really, it's more like God versus Satan. Or put Bear up here, God versus Satan. Or bring Caitlin up here and replace her right here as Satan. That's the size difference. Is God is, yeah, and that's not even close. Okay, go sit down. Thank you. Nope, they helped out. Come here, girls. They got the same color, so that way there's no fighting over colors. God is infinitely more powerful than Satan, and the book of Job is a great way to drive that home. That is an essential point in our daily fight. Hey, don't open it now. Thank you. I didn't tell you that, so you're not in trouble. Just don't open it, okay? Satan had to ask permission of God to even touch Job. Satan's power is limited by God. And that should not only give us comfort, but confidence in our walk. Job was faithful to God even when he didn't understand God. We can probably admit that there's, you guys, I can admit it too, but as teenagers and kids, you can probably admit that you are more loving and obedient towards your parents when they're giving you what you're asking for, right? Is that right or wrong? Right. Sis, sit down. When our parents' actions don't make sense, though, when we feel like they might just be out to make our lives harder for no reason, it's a little harder to not grumble and complain against them, right? Makes it a little harder to do what they say. How many of you would jump at the chance if mom and dad were like, mom or dad were like, hey, here's $20, go get whatever you want from the store? Right? What if they were like, hey, here's a broom, go clean the whole house? Yeah, not so willing, are you? Braxton, you would be willing, I know. I know you do. There's weird ones among us all. Not you. So with God being more powerful than Satan, Hi, sweetheart. Yes, baby. If you sit down through the whole service, I'll give you something at the end. Out of the bag. Maybe. Go sit. So, if you think about it, how we treat our parents or anybody, it could be bosses, could be employees. How do we treat them when they're doing exactly what we ask, and how do we treat them when they're asking something of us that doesn't make sense? That might be how we treat God as well. When things are going well, we're happy to praise Him and pray and thank Him. But when they're not going good, in no time at all, we can get mad and turn our backs on God and question Him and start wondering why. Well, you must not love me if you're letting me go through this. You must have abandoned me. It's that easy. Job shows us another way, though. His words were not always bright and cheery, but in the midst of unimaginable, horrible circumstances, he showed faith. When his wife probed him to curse God and die, Job affirmed his faith in God and did not sin. 2:9-10 says he left with nothing and he continued to praise the name of the Lord. Badgered or picked on ceasingly, which means to not end. It didn't end. They continued to pick on him, his friends, his so-called friends. He still held fast to righteousness and integrity, and he refused to speak lies about God or anyone else. Throughout the whole story of Job, we can see that we don't have to understand God to thank Him. Our lives can be difficult, and we can still give Him praise. Can we ask God questions when we're going through hard times? Yes, we can. We can even use Job as an example. Imagine that. We're talking about Job. And I asked a question that has to do with Job. I'm getting better at this, huh? It's not a huge rabbit trail. Except for I just went off on one right there. We can learn being faithful to God doesn't mean we always have to be silent. Job definitely was not silent. He had so many questions, and he brought them to God. Job asked how a person could ever be declared innocent by God. He wanted to know if anyone born of a woman, basically anybody human, could ever be pure. Job certainly... Sorry, I got to take a drink of water. Job certainly had question after question for God. Do you think God stopped listening to him after the first or second question? No. Job wanted to know if a man could die and then live again. And he wanted to know why he'd even be born in the first place if such suffering was awaiting him. The book of Job teaches us that it's okay to ask God questions. It teaches us that He's big enough to handle anything we want to ask. Do you think you could have too many questions for God? No. Do you think He's ever like, that's a dumb question? Nope. He listens, just as I hope your parents would listen to questions you kids have, your youth, with an open heart, wanting to hear what's on your heart, what's bothering you, what's going on. God may not answer in the way we expect, though, when we ask these questions. If you're going through a hard time and you say, God, why am I going through this? Do you think every single time He's going to say, well, I wanted you to grow in this area. Don't worry, it's only going to last a couple more days. Just keep trusting. And just 3 more days from here, you'll be golden. Do you think He's going to answer like that? Why not? Who can? No. No, God doesn't make mistakes. No. Why would God not tell us when our trials are going to end and what we're going to face exactly, and to know, hey, just persevere through tomorrow, Bear, and everything's going to fall into place? Right. Yeah. So going through pain, why does God not say, hey, Bear, tomorrow this is going to be over. You'll be good. Just give me one more day of trusting me, and tomorrow you'll be through it. Don't worry. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was looking for right there. It's our faith. If we know what's going to happen, why would we even need faith? Oh, well, he already told me I'll be good in 3 weeks. I'm just going to get in bed and sleep for the next 3 weeks. I don't need no faith. Without having direct answers as to who, what, when, where, and why, our faith has to grow. We have to live and walk by faith. It's not by sight, right? Right? I can't hear your head rattle, Braxton. Right. There we go. So in his final speech recorded in chapter 31, Job's questions all boil down to one question. And I think we all might have asked this at some point. I know as an adult I have, but I think as kids you probably have too, and youth, young adults. What have I done to deserve this? What did I do? And God never gave him an answer to that question. Job asked that, and God never said, well, this is why. But God did show up, and instead of giving him an answer that Job wanted, God gave him what he needed, and he changed his perspective. What God gave Job was the message that he was God and Job was not. He laid out one piece of evidence after another, from the stars in the sky to the soaring birds up above, to help Job see his place in the universe. And this might be the simplest definition of what the Bible means by fear the Lord. Helping us understand that to fear God is to see ourselves in the right perspective to God. To understand that He is the Creator. He is the sustainer. Yes. Nothing? Okay, I love you. He is the creator and the sustainer of the universe. And we are not. And understanding that that is a gift to us. In the end, the one who demanded an answer from God learned a greater lesson. Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. That was 42:3. He says, surely I spoke of things I did not understand. These things were too wonderful for me to know. Because that goes back to what? What was at the beginning? His ways are, and his thoughts are. This is a very important lesson, because many of us have questions, and not everything our parents do is going to make sense. There comes a time when we just have to say, I trust my mom, or I trust my dad. I trust you, God, that you know best, and I know my parents love me. You might not like their answers or their decisions, but they have your best interests at heart. And that's the same with God. The book of Job teaches us that it's okay to ask God questions. Job can help us learn that God may not give us what we want, but He will always give us what we need. And finally, God restores. Restores means to bring back something that was lost or ruined. Braxton, if I made you a sandwich, we'll say a cheeseburger because you like those better. If I made you a cheeseburger, come here, come up here. If I made you a cheeseburger, here's your cheeseburger, and you drop it on the floor, oops, and Koa runs in and eats it, what will I do? I'll make you another one, right? And that's a simple explanation of restoring. I will make him another one. I will make sure he is fed. I will give him what he needs. I'm not going to make my dog puke up the cheeseburger, put it back on the plate, and give it to him, am I? No. That would, yeah. Yeah, Bear. Right. Yep. 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 Exactly. Oh, we're almost done. You're doing so good. I appreciate it. Braxton, put it away. In Job's case, what was lost or ruined wasn't just his lunch, it was his entire life. Everything was taken from him. Everything. Family, land, animals, everything. Sons and daughters, the only thing that was not taken from him was his life. But God restored it with twice as much as he had before. It'd be like getting 2 new lunches, right, Brax? What if I made you 2 burgers the second time around? I know. We need to know, sister, we need to know we have a God who cares about us. He sees what happens to us. He has the power to help and to restore us. No matter what the circumstances, and it might not always look like what we think we need or what we want. A lot of our prayers are wants. It'd be cool if I had a brand new F-350 Super Duty, I don't even know what they have anymore, platinum package with massaging chairs. They have those. They have those. Yeah. Massaging driver and passenger chairs. They have self-driving cars, the Teslas. You can put them in self-drive mode so you can sleep. Yeah. Would it be cool to have something like that? Yeah. Do I need that? No. Do I want one? Yeah. Yeah. I do. I do need a leg massage. You can give me one tonight. Thank you. No one wishes for a life like Job's. But God's word included Job's story for a reason. Why do you think the book of Job was included in the Bible? Why do you think they would pick a story that was like, dude, this guy got everything taken away from him? Let's throw it in the Bible so people can read how sad this was. Kenzie. Because he trusted in God through the whole entire thing. Come get it. I don't want to knock you out. He's not going to let anything to happen to yep. He is not going to let anything happen to us without a purpose. There is always a purpose. His purpose is always good for those who love him. Romans 8:28. There is always something to be learned in the hard times, in the trials. Anybody in here work out? How do you build muscle? Guys, zip it. By what? What does it do to the muscle? It breaks it down. Essentially, it tears your muscle a little bit, right? It tears it apart. And then it repairs over time. There's rest days, right? And where do we find our rest? In God. Spiritually, where do we find our rest? In God. So when we're going through trials and we feel like we're getting broke down, take that time, get your rest in the Word, in prayer. What did Jesus do through the storm on the boat? He slept, right? Until they went down there and woke him up. How would you like to be the one to go wake Jesus up? Like, hey, we trust you and all, but there's a storm going on. No. So it's just that our walk is the same as working out. We are going to be torn. But if we seek God through that, we find our rest, we will come out stronger. Okay? You understand? Okay, that's it. We're going to do some YouTube or whatever, Amazon, whatever, music. Hold on. Yes, you can, sweetheart. Thank you for listening. You did good. Okay? You can dance. You can come on the stage and you guys can do your cartwheels and stuff. Don't hit each other. Don't be too crazy. Don't touch each other. Do like you did last time and make a line for your flips. No. No. Sissy, you weren't supposed to open that. Who else didn't? Madison. I actually got this one for you, so you can shoot Jaden. Get away.